So I want to first start out, and again, you could, through Slido, you could ask questions. We'll open it up to everybody. I want to first start out talking about a secret you had, Serena's secret for a bunch of you for 5 years. You were quietly investing in startups and not telling anybody. And so in April, you finally, came public on this, but you put money into 34 startups. So where did this come from, this secret, startup investing?
Well, I love investing, and I always felt like I've always invested in myself and in my career, and my whole life has been investing in myself. And so, as the world is changing and you see all these amazing companies, you think, at least I think to myself, like, why am I not either on the level of those companies? Why have I not had an opportunity to be involved in, supporting those companies, investing in those companies? And so naturally, you start to get curious and you start to ask yourself questions. And I just wanted to know, well, how do I invest in one of these massive, huge companies? And so the only way to do it is to actually, find different people and learn a little bit more about the industry, and then just, kind of invest in it.
And then, but you did something different because you started putting your money into women-backed companies,
yeah, so
or underrepresented,
yeah, so
60%, I think, women or minority-led companies that you're investing in.
Yeah. So what happened was, when I first started, I was like, everyone else. I was like, oh, that's a good company. I want to invest in that. That's a good company. And I didn't really have a theme or a motto. But then I learned that less than 2% of VC money was going to female founders, and even less to women and people of color. So I thought, well, that's what I need to do. I need to start supporting more companies like that, and and also just raising awareness about that. Like, a lot of people didn't know. How do you not know such a shocking number? And I was like, how do I raise awareness about this, and how do I also take a lead on it? So that was really important to me to do that and to continue to do that. And we're just starting. My little company is starting, and we're just growing and growing.
Which have been some of your favorites to date?
It's always so hard to say.
You have to choose among your children.
Yeah. You don't really have a favorite, but one that I just invested in. Well, not just, but it's a woman-led company that's amazing. They're changing the way wedding dresses are being created and perceived. It's called Fleur Vert. I love it. I love the concept. It's like a whole shopping experience. You go there, you get to pick out your dress, you get to have whatever you want if you guys are of age to drink. And it's a whole experience, and there's so many options to choose from, and they're brick and mortar stores on themselves, and they pop up also. So I love that one. Another one is actually a new one that we invested in. It's actually called Alchemy 23, which is about injectables. And I know it's random, but it's the direction a lot of people are headed. And I thought that was a really interesting company to just kind of be involved in. So I love that one.
When you said injectable, so what is that?
And another one, I know you said two, but I love, not me, but I love that. If you got to be your best self, and if that's how you feel your best self, that's why I love the company so much, because I felt like, a lot of people feel more comfortable with injectables, and that's great. And I love the founders of Alchemy. So I thought, anyway, I thought Alchemy 43, I thought was amazing. One that I also love, really kind of fits my lifestyle. It's all about Gobble. It's been around a little bit longer, but it's a really great company, because sometimes for me, if I'm at home and it's a delivery, they deliver food, and the recipe is all together. Kind of all you have to do is put it in the pan, and you make this gourmet meal, and you look like an amazing chef. I of course like to believe that I'm an amazing chef, but I'm really not. But when I use the Gobble, I kind of become this amazing chef. So
how do you find deal flow? I mean, you must have people throwing stuff at you all the time. You can't tell if it's any good or not.
Well, in the beginning, it's definitely hard. I felt like the investment world is a small niche, and then it's hard to break through. But eventually, once I broke through, then like so many things started coming, and now it's like, I'm like, we can't do any more investments this year, or unless it's something that's life-changing or something that's really affecting the world. We often try to invest in companies that isn't about necessarily being the biggest company in the world, but it's about helping people feel good or filling a need that's really needed in this world. And so that's also really important to me.
Your husband, Alexis, he also, he's a venture, he has a $500 million venture fund. So do you guys ever like fight over deals? Is like, who does the dishes and who gets that deal, or how does it work?
It's interesting. I really pick his brain a lot about, if I have a question, I'm like, what do you think about this? I really like this company, but I'm not sure. And, he has a whole team with his company, and they do such an amazing job. And I actually even call some of his partners now. Like, I'm like, okay, I call one of his partners at his company. I'm like, okay, so we're looking at this deal. Like, we would love to get your feedback on it. And so it's a great relationship for us to have. We don't really mix business too much and that's why
have you co-invested at all?
We have a few co-investments. I want to say he's in Gobble, but I'm not sure. Don't put me on the spot like that. I don't know. We definitely have a few co-investments.
Whatever, it's your money together anyway, so it doesn't much matter. Do you do you find that it's being famous, that it's harder or easier to do business?
I don't know. I don't. What do you mean? If it's harder to do?
I mean, do you feel like people are trying to just try to get you to invest because you're famous, or do you get opportunities that others wouldn't get?
It's definitely both. I get a lot of opportunities because of who I am, and I'm not gonna lie and deny that. But I also try to make sure I treat those opportunities as if they're the only one that I have and the only one that I can get, and that way you kind of appreciate it a little bit more. And so that's kind of how I try to do it.
Do you have other, besides Alexis, do you have other mentors?
Yes. My first investment was actually Maven. It's a fabulous hair company. Obviously, we love our hair. I know I do. And so I was introduced by Maven by this amazing guy. His name is Eric Moore. He lives in the Bay Area. He's a brother, and I loved him because you don't see that many African American people doing. Especially 5 years ago, especially 5 years ago, which is really not that long ago, you don't really see that happening. So I loved meeting him. Also, I think he's speaking here, Chris Lyons.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's here today.
He may or may not be
out there, Chris, you out there?
He's amazing. Like, he is someone that I absolutely trust so much and get so much amazing advice from him. He works in one of the biggest firms, Andreessen Horowitz. It's like the creme de la creme. So we get so much information from him. And it's really good to actually have feedback from them. And it's exciting.
Let's talk about fashion a little. Obviously a passion, core passion. Has it always been like that? When you were a girl, was it, or did you develop that?
So I always kind of liked fashion. I grew up sewing, and it's so funny, like some of the first tournaments that I played or my sister played, my mom made our outfits because we didn't have the sponsors yet. And so she sewed our outfits, and long before that, she taught us how to sew. So I used to sew for my dolls and everything, but if you know anything, sewing is way different than actually fashion. But that's kind of how my love started, and I ended up going to fashion school, majored in fashion, and I always joke, somewhere in between winning Wimbledon's and US Open, I was in school doing fashion projects. And so, it was natural that I did want to continue that way and to continue in the fashion world. And so it's definitely something that's authentic and real, and that I've been literally doing my whole life.
But that's the kind of thing, especially when you're famous and you're busy, you might have a line with some brand or something like that, but you've chosen to go a different direction with By Serena. Can you explain that?
I had different opportunities, and they kind of never really worked out for me. And when I first jumped on the stage today, I said, I really have to learn. I felt like I've invested in myself, my whole career. So, it was interesting. Like, I invested in my tennis, and I invested in my you know, that part of my life, but I never invested in my other passion, which was fashion. So I started By Serena. We have a booth here today, by the way, so you guys definitely have to go visit it. I'm wearing By Serena. I'm a little bloated from my flight, though, so I'm not feeling very great.
Looks good.
But, you know, it's a great brand. You know, we just want to represent people that want to look good and feel good and not feel apologetic for it. And that's kind of what we do.
And what do you do? Where's your price point?
Our price point varies. We have things from, you know, it depends. It really varies. That's a hard question. From like something as low as $14.99, I want to say, to like $300 is the max. So we want to offer really high-end fashion at reasonable prices. So we have like a big gap there.
How many different items do you have right now?
What?
How many different items, how many different apparel items do you guys have?
Well, we just did a huge fashion show in New York, which was insane for us because we literally launched last year. And
how was that?
it was amazing because, you know, when you go to fashion school, you dream of doing a fashion show in New York. And then, you know, it was really cool because we just launched in May, and then a year later, they call us and they're like, we really want you to be a part of New York Fashion Week. And I was just like, well, we have 3 months, which is 0 time in fashion. So we were like, there's no way I'm going to pass this opportunity up. And it was the most amazing experience because everything that we showed on the runway, you could buy instantly on our website. We're direct to consumer. So our fashion brand is also really about bringing a modern twist to it and just stand out and be different, you know? And again, that was just really something that was just, it's rarely done. And I tend to do things that are rarely done, so it worked out.
I saw Meghan Markle's already wearing it, so you've got people who definitely are vouching. All right, I'm going to go to some questions from the audience. Let's see.
I love you too. Thank you.
There are a bunch of questions about family here. One question about what it's like growing up with a sister, competing with your sister, and how that shaped you.
I mean, the best thing I could have had was how many of you guys have sisters? So I feel like if you have that experience, it's the best experience. I had 4 sisters, and it was amazing. Like, you just have this just unit that's always with you no matter what. And being the youngest is a little harder because, especially the youngest of 5, because they tend to baby you a little bit more and protect you a little bit more. And then when you're the youngest, you want to break out the most because everyone's always so much older than you. But it was great. And then growing up with Venus, we got obviously super close, and just having her be so close in my career and just everywhere was just, it's been really, truly magnificent.
We got a lot of questions here about Olympia. Who's adorable.
Thank you.
And how has having her shape both your kind of outlook on your career, on your business? I mean, you've talked about how it's changed you in many ways. Yeah,
it's been great. She's been the best addition to my life. I love her so much. I take her everywhere with me, and we're like, we're buddies.
She loved getting up at 3 this morning also, right?
She did. She woke up, she was smiling, and she was like playing, because I pulled out my phone and she started typing, and I'm like, Olympia, please. And she was awake the whole flight. But, she's a good kid. She did really good. But yeah, she's so fun. It's so fun to have her around. We do ballet, we do gymnastics, it's cool.
And it's interesting because even watching her, if you watch her social feeds, I mean, it seems like she's a real part. It's not that, it seems like she's somebody who's basically your twin there, or not your twin, but how is it with your travel schedule, your business schedule, and being a mom? I mean, how do you balance that? We got a lot of multitaskers.
Yeah, for me, I definitely put, my family first because, well, God first and my family, because it's really important. I just work my day around her now. Now, tennis players is off season, so I don't, I'm still training, but we don't play tournaments this time of year. At least I don't. There's a couple tournaments still going on. But it's fun because now she naps every day at 11, so I spend all day with her, and then around 10:30 I start to train for like 2.5 hours. And then by the time she wakes up, I'm done, she's done, and we have the rest of the day. So I feel like I spent my whole day with her, and it's cool, because usually I train in the mornings, and then she has her nap, and I only spend all of the afternoon with her, which is a lot. But I love that I get to spend now my whole day with her, and it's great. I literally work my schedule around her. If I have work to do, I'm like, listen, I have this much time because this is what I have for my daughter, and I want her to know that I was there for her, and I love that.
How much longer do you think you'll play?
I think whenever. I'm waiting on Roger to answer that question. So however long Roger Federer plans on playing.
Right, fair. You have a but you have some people who play because they'll play until they can't even qualify. You have others who will only play until they feel like they have a shot at winning. And again, this year you barely played in it. Every tournament you played in, you're right there till the end. Yes. Which school are you in?
I don't know. I feel like I love what I do, and I feel like when I'm out there, I'm the best at what I do. And so when I wake up, and also I love working hard, and I know what it takes to work hard, and I know everything that goes into it. So when I wake up and I'm not feeling that way is when, I know I need to do something different.
We have a question about the biggest challenge you've ever overcome from the audience.
The biggest challenge I've ever overcome. Wow, I have a lot of challenges. Every day I feel like there's some challenge that is presented to you, and you're meant to fail it, but you have to overcome it. And you can't let any challenge, be too much for you. I had so many challenges I can't even begin to tell you, but just the whole pregnancy was a huge challenge for me. Just to come back and play after that I didn't realize it was a challenge until looking back a year ago, and I was like, I probably shouldn't have been playing, but I did it, and it was and it was an incredible challenge. But yeah, I think we all are faced with challenges every single day, but it's just how you look at them. I was reading something on Instagram earlier today that really was kind of motivating, and it was like, it's just saying, is that the best you have? Because I can take way more. Yep. So that's kind of how I'm looking at life now. Yes, I can.
But what's interesting is that, listen, you're obviously one of the greatest athletes ever, but to be the greatest, it's about, and you know this and you've talked about this, it's about up here. So we have a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs here.
Yeah.
But again, there are lots of smart people out there. It's the mental game that sets apart. So what lessons have you gotten mentally, and how do you toughen yourself up mentally that this group can take away?
Well, in sport, everyone says they want to win Grand Slams or they want to be number one in tennis. I can't tell you how many people have said, yeah, I want to win a Grand Slam, but I'm like, are you sure? You don't act like you want to win a Grand Slam. In my mind, of course, I say this. But it's interesting because everyone says it, but they don't do the work for it. So I wasn't the best player. I wasn't the most talented. I'm not the tall. I'm by far not the tallest.
You're pretty tall.
Well, not in tennis. So in my sport, no. But it's really interesting. I work the hardest at what I do, and so it's really about you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to have the most funds. You don't have to have the most open doors for you, but it's about the attitude that I'm gonna be the hardest worker, and I'm not gonna let anything stop me, and I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna take this and fail this time and say I'm just quitting, because I failed so many times at tennis and fashion and investing so many times, but you just keep going. And so that's what makes people the greatest.
Well, let's talk about failure. You talked about how one of your earliest investments was a big failure. You lost $250,000. What did you take out of that? And
yeah, I learned a huge lesson. I learned about, well, I knew about due diligence, but I learned about doing more of it and really understanding founders and knowing the people. Because when you're investing in a company, you're investing in that founder. How does the founder work? How has the founder worked before? How's the founder doing with other people? Can they speak to other people? Do they get along with other people? So all those questions are really, really, really important.
Going back to mental toughness, I want to ask you about something I saw backstage. When we were about to come out, you were doing this. You were basically, stretching your neck. You were like kind of game oning out, And this is for a talk. What is that a routine that you do whenever you?
Not at all. I was just warming up for the dance because I wasn't sure if they were going to have me on stage to sing and dance, but I guess they decided best to keep me. No, it was really relaxed, and I was really happy to hear the choir, and they've been doing so well. So I was just enjoying the music. Do I dance that bad? It looked like I was stretching.
You look like you were game on. You look like you were like ready to.
That's not good to hear. I need to go home and work on my moves.
You have good moves. We have a lot of people here who are pushing 30.
Me too.
And exactly. And are worried about the new kids coming up behind them. Now you're still incredibly young, and as a businesswoman, super young. But as a tennis player, you're now,
vintage. It's okay.
You're a veteran.
I'm vintage. I'm like fine wine.
So how do these guys?
I get better with age.
So what's the key when all the kids are coming and trying to take your crown to stay at the top of your game, even, again, when you go way past 30?
Yeah, you guys are fun.
I think you got a new market. I think you got a new marketing chief here.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like technology is so different now that athletes across the board, you look at basketball, tennis, football, some people in football, they're playing in their 40s, and that would never, ever, 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 ever have happened a decade ago or 20 years ago. So I'm part of that new generation that was really fortunate to work with better technology, meaning equipment and shoes, and even knowing how to take care of your body. So your body, even though it's a certain age, it actually feels like it's much younger. So that's how, I think a lot of athletes, including myself, are able to always compete and to stay out there and to actually win and be one of the champions.
Well, again, and you see that in some of your, like you're an Impossible, you're an investor in Impossible Beats. And so it does seem, even in looking at your portfolio, there's a lot of stuff about, again, eating healthy, staying healthy. How much does technology play a role? I mean, even in fashion,
listen, I really think it's it's one of the biggest things that changed, my course. And when I first started playing, I thought for sure I'd be retired at 28 or 29. But at 28 or 29, I hadn't even started. So it was just like, your body it's just so different. What you feed yourself, is what you get out of your body to be an athlete. And so even with fashion, like what we do direct to consumer. We cut out the middleman where we don't have a store. We do really cool pop-ups so you can come see and experience our clothes and feel what we have, like we have here. We have a pop-up here, you guys. So, but it's really cool. And so it's just technology. I love it, and that's why I love investing, because I love investing in some exciting things in the future. You know, I mean, I think hopefully Skynet is not going to be one of them, but.
What do you do in terms of if you look at, and when we did, actually, do we have the Forbes cover? Has everyone seen the Forbes cover? Let's see if we can.
It's fabulous.
So, I will say, this is a new record. Forbes has been around for 102 years. This is the best looking cover we've ever had in 102 years. So,
I love that cover.
That is a good looking cover. Anyway, in that story, but I want to look at that quote. I want to look at that quote up top right. I want to be the brand instead of being the face.
Yeah.
How do you work on your brand?
For me, it's just about being who you are, and I don't want to be a brand that's fake, and I'm just always just a real person. And so for me, that's it. That's how my brand is, and then I build from there. So instead of also, wait, what was that quote? Pay me in equity. Yeah, that's how it starts.
I mentioned.
And you have to have really cool people like that to say stuff like that, to know that they know their worth. You should know your worth too.
I mentioned this the other night, but I once talked to somebody very famous, not as famous as you, but very famous, and he said, "Here's the deal. For most of my career, I made hundreds of millions of dollars, but I was just well paid. It's not until I owned that I was really rich."
Yeah.
And that seems to be the step you're taking now with everything you're doing.
That's how you change the narrative. You have to start owning things, even if it's starting your own company and owning that. That's the only way that we're ever going to change the narrative. That's just the only way it's going to happen.
If you don't own, you're not the boss. By definition, you're working for somebody else. So.
Yeah, and if you are the boss, if I'm the boss, I'm going to give other people opportunities that normally wouldn't have had opportunities, because I know what it's like. And so until people that look like me, and women and other, that are really writing these checks and that are the boss, the narrative is never going to change. So yeah, I love that.
Let's talk a little bit about, speaking of being the boss, about being on the board. Jay Farner mentioned this too. You're on SurveyMonkey, Poshmark. Why is that important to you to serve on others' boards, and what do you feel you get out of that or give for that?
It's great to be on these boards. It's so funny. I always set goals for myself, tennis and life and personal. And one of my goals a couple years ago was I've said I want to be on a board of a really big company. And so, look like we have an extra question. But, and so, well, we're going to get to you in a minute, but it was just really cool. So a good friend of mine, Sheryl Sandberg, called me literally 2 days later and asked me about the company SurveyMonkey and would I be interested in sitting on the board. And of course I wanted to learn more about it, and they had to talk to me and make sure I was able to do it. But I love that company. It's really great. I learned so much about my business. It's all about asking questions and how do you make your business better. We actually conduct all our surveys for S Brand, and I actually did one on myself so I could better myself, all through SurveyMonkey. And it's really important because until you're asking questions, you're not going to get answers. You're not going to get answers on how to improve what you're doing, or how to improve how to go, or how to improve yourself. And sometimes those questions are hard and they're tough questions that you have to face, but they're really good to ask. Then Poshmark is right up my alley because it's fashion, and I'm like, I'm going to be really good on this board. So I was really, really excited to sit on that. The CEO, Manish, is amazing. I love working with him. And it's great because they are literally changing how fashion works. I often sell tons of my stuff on Poshmark. But it's such an incredible concept on how to have great fashion and just that, because it's like you don't want to throw your clothes away, and it's a great way. I know so many women, and a good friend of mine does so well. She actually quit her job recently, 3 weeks ago, And now she's doing all her selling on Poshmark. Her new job is Poshmark. And I feel so proud because I'm like, that's like I feel like it's my company, you know, because you sit on the board, you really have this connection to it. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to tell this story. It's so great.
So speaking of connections, let's talk about
what was that?
That was somebody saying that your daughter woke up from her nap. So.
Oh. Okay.
Kidding. She's
Not
sleeping
again.
like a baby. We are at the. I wanted to ask about the Allstate Foundation Purple Purse. We're near the end of a National Domestic Violence Month.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't know is that domestic violence almost always correlates with financial abuse.
Yes.
So tell us about Purple Purse.
So I teamed up with Allstate almost, I want to say 3 years ago now, because I was just so obsessed with their message. And it wasn't necessarily only about domestic violence. It was about financial abuse and how 99% of domestic violence cases involve financial abuse. And I thought, that is such a staggering figure. Like, how is that even, again, that was another number. I'm like, how do I not know this? And it was really, really cool to, it is really, really cool to partner up and just to talk about it, because it really is an uncomfortable topic of conversation, but I really feel like we got to make those uncomfortable topics comfortable in order to make change. And so it's really, being involved with Purple Purse is great. You know, we just do so much change, and I don't know if you guys know, but October is Domestic Awareness Month. So every year I design these incredibly cool purses that are purple, just to raise awareness and just to get people to start talking about it. But my whole thing is like, let's not just do it in October, you know, let's just continue to talk about these conversations in order to make change and let people know that financial abuse is not cool. Hence the side eye when you were like, our money or something you said earlier today. So I was like, but it's really important to learn. It doesn't matter if you're in the greatest relationship, you always have to have some sort, and this goes both ways, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to have some sort of financial independence and trust as well, but it's always good to just, you know, be independent a little bit. I think so.
Well, I'm going to try to avoid the side eye for the rest of the talk here. Let's talk quickly about your relationship with Bumble, and you're co-investing in Bumble. And
yeah. I'm doing a lot.
You are.
Jeez.
And you're, you know, in every Grand Slam final while you're at, you know,
right?
just on the side hustle there. So.
Yeah, a side job of mine. Bumble's amazing. I know I say that about everyone, but I really truly feel like I've been able to partner up with some of the best and really cool companies. It's been really cool to Bumble, and if you think about Bumble, a lot of people think, oh, it's a cool dating app, and it is. I think I actually briefly was on Bumble years ago, which is funny. I was on a few of them.
A lot of people missed out. Just saying.
You missed out.
You missed out, guys. You missed out.
But also, what I love about it is I love how you can also meet people and Bumble BFF and friends. And if you're looking for business advice or questions, you know, that's what they rolled out recently. And I just thought that was so brilliant, because there's so many times if you want to, like for me, if I wanted to invest in something and I was in college and I didn't know what to do, like how do you even start that conversation? And that's one thing that I love about Bumble. That's what they're doing. They're actually helping people start that conversation and meeting people that can help them or answer questions for them, or stuff like that, or date them. Yeah.
Another company you invested in and have done very well in is Masterclass. I actually watched your Masterclass on Playing at the Net, which is interesting because you're a great baseline player, but then
I did one on the net.
You did.
Oh.
Well, you know, and what I learned was you were talking about how you go up there and it's about positioning your body to maximize success. So you're basically there so that whenever they hit at you, you can instantly react.
Yeah.
You're already pre-positioned to do that. So I thought there are actually there are a whole bunch of questions spinning, and so I thought we might do a little net game here.
Okay.
And it's gonna pop, you know, we're gonna pop some questions at you, and you're just gonna react.
Oh, I love this.
All right, some of the questions. Who's the
love this.
coolest person you met this year?
This year?
Boom.
Oh man, that was too slow. God, I feel like everyone I met this year I've known. Well, I haven't met you.
I'll take it.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
That is the highlight of my year just now, so thank you. I appreciate that. All right, your favorite piece of clothing?
Gosh, I'm not doing good at this today.
You were up at 3 in the morning, so you know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say like my S brand clothing. That sounds like too cheesy and like I'm pushing it, you know? I don't want to push anything on anybody. It's great, you know, if you miss out, like you missed out if I were on Bumble. So, you know. But I don't know.
All right, if you could meet anybody,
easier ones.
you could meet anybody you haven't met, who would you meet?
What? Coach? Forbes
Forbes
culture?
culture. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Forbes culture. I don't know. I've met so many people. Forbes
All right.
culture.
Yes. All right. Here's one. If you could be appointed president of the United States, would you take the job?
Absolutely not. No way. No, I'm not president material.
No, you have a much better job. That is.
No, I don't do. No,
That is for sure.
No.
All right. Do people underestimate you or overestimate you?
I think people definitely underestimate me. Yeah. But that's what makes me most dangerous.
That's right.
That was good.
All right.
Come on, I need some more because I didn't do so good in the beginning.
All right. The most important person you've met for your business career?
For my business career, can I just say Nelson Mandela?
Inspiring.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All of us. All right. If you could have one last meal, what would it be, or your favorite meal?
Whew, that's a good one. Well, would it be my last because I'm dying?
No, let's not do that one. So how about your favorite meal? Your favorite meal.
Oh. Well, I never got to
reading it.
taste the Popeye's chicken sandwich. Because they sold out.
I think somebody.
Was it good?
Popeye's good or Chick-fil-A? What is No, Popeye's, all right. I think somebody's going to be watching this. I think you're going to get about a case full of Popeyes and endorsement deal in about 6 weeks here. In about 6 weeks.
I don't know. I love eating bad food, but I got allergic to everything basically: milk, wheat, cheese, so it's a disaster. So.
But it must be. I will say, but it must be at the level you train at. It must be very empowering to be able to.
I live to eat. I don't eat to live.
Fair. That's called living. That's called living, folks. That's good. That's called living. Let's see what else we have. Okay, how many more majors do you think you're going to win?
Well, I've got a chance to win 4 next year, so.
All right. Legacy. What's the thing you're most proud of?
Obviously, my daughter. I don't think it gets better than that. Everything that I've done and all the wins that I've had have been really cool and really amazing, but just looking at her in her crib and just sleep is like the best feeling in the world.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I got 2 kids, I'm serious. And it's true. Do you plan to have, you plan to add?
I would
Olympia
love to have more
sibling?
kids. I love kids. I still don't win, but, I would love to have more kids.
All right, if you could get into a time machine, what year would you go to?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I would visit it depends. Now, am I invincible or or do I?
The answer is yes, you are
Okay,
invincible.
I would go, I don't know, I would go see what Jesus was up to. Or, wouldn't that be cool? Or I would see Moses part the Red Sea. Oh, man.
That would be
That
good.
would be amazing.
That would be good.
Or, you know, I might, you know, I have a lot of answers to that, but I don't know how many of them are appropriate.
All right, if you couldn't have played tennis, what sport would you have played?
Sport. Golf. Golf. I think I would have been a good golfer.
Do you play? Have you tried?
Yeah, I'm played twice. I never make it past the first par because I lose focus. No, the first hole, not even par. I don't even have the right lingo. But I can hit it really far. It doesn't go in a straight line. So it kind of goes, yeah. But I would have played golf.
Do you ever plan to retire?
Oh, for sure. I've got to retire one day. I just don't know when.
What year? Or you think you're an early retired person? Or?
I told you. Whenever Roger retires, I'm going to be right behind.
Fair. No, I don't think we're talking about tennis. I think we're talking about business.
Oh, business?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's actually a question I've never thought about because I'm so young in my business career.
Fair.
So yeah, I never thought about that question.
Well, we're running over time, but I gotta, one more time, thank you for taking the time to be with this group of entrepreneurs. I will say, I have never, there's many firsts here, but first of all, I've never, because my phone rang at 3 and 2, I've never seen somebody so determined to get to speak to an audience. I've also never seen a business talk that was basically also like a pep rally. Oh.
I had fun. Thank you guys. Thank you all.
Most of all, I want to thank you on behalf of 30 Under 30, on behalf of Forbes. Again, this is someone who keeps her word, and I think that is a lesson that all of us could take in business. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your time. Thank everybody here.